Hello, friends. Welcome to Hotties in VR. And if you missed the announcement of our name change, we are now Hotties and VR to make our name a little more flexible. Lily couldn't be here today, but we're really grateful for one of our founders, Lily Bit, and for her contributions, as well as Sin Sexton, who helps us with filming. I'm here with my lovely friends today. I'm Goddess Soleil, here with Venus X and Serendipity Sky. And we're here in this really lovely. I miss being in a place, since I live in Mexico, I miss being in a place that has snow. So I'm happy to be in this really beautiful cozy cabin. It's called Cozy Cabin by Sam. And it has some really great features for screening videos as well as um, some other in
Fireplace
other
over
the
there. It's a
fireplace
crackling
has some
fireplace.
a little Christmas tree. So yeah, it's a really, or maybe I should say a pagan tree, since that's the origin of Christmas trees. So yeah, it's a really beautiful little world. We're happy to be here, and thanks for joining us on this cozy night. I've got my cup of hot chocolate, although it is missing marshmallows, which is always a requirement for hot chocolate. I'm appalled by this. Maybe it's
But not
coffee.
in
Maybe
Mexico.
it's not.
But not in Mexico. I imagine they
It's
don't
true.
do the marshmallow thing.
It's
Very,
true.
yeah. Okay, that's probably why you're missing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes,
Hi,
totally.
I'm Venus SX, and I'm so happy to be here. I live in a place where I have probably seen snow. I could count on one hand how many times I've been in the snow. Maybe 2 times. Not my vibe. Much more a beach girl. So I'm liking it. The snow's falling, the wind's whipping around the corner of the cozy cabin, but we're safe and secure here with my besties in VR. Serendipity Sky,
Hi,
you're all
yeah, I'm
kitted up.
Serendipity Sky. Yep. Glad to be here today. I myself am not a winter kind of girl. I am a desert kind of girl. I like the heat, but it's nice doing this in VR because it's beautiful. I just don't like feeling cold. But yeah, I love
Yeah.
this world. There's a really nice like outdoor patio area where you could just like watch the snow falling in the mountains, and it's really pretty. I love this world.
And you never get cold here. So that's the best part.
Yeah.
You're all rugged up though.
I wanted to start the show tonight. Actually, I wanted to know, Venus, what you. I heard you went to some cool VR events this week, and I want to hear what you did. Tell me about it.
Yes, I had a great week this week in virtual reality. To start with, Immersive X was on. I don't know if many people heard about it. So a company called VM People, who organized and curated a 2-day conference that was sort of decentralized in the sense of they were using a couple of different platforms. And
Cool.
so I managed to get in on the after show track. So they had 6 different tracks, basically looking at how VR and XR is transforming different industries. So from the arts through to entertainment, brands, enterprises, and business. So it had a business approach. And then I was sort of part of the decompression after the end of the show with Tantric Whispers in
Cool.
Elysium. And we had the cool, really sweet party in Violet. So Celeste Lear, who's a very popular DJ and sort of a pioneer in the XR entertainment industry, came to play in Violet, Club Violet,
Oh, I love that.
our world.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was really beautiful to have that showcased in a conference. I met a lot of Germans and Europeans because Immersive X
Neat.
has been running for quite a few years. I just researched them a little bit. So they are definitely continuing. They've already booked the next year. So it might be something that we want to get involved with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My only criticism was it was all during times when I was working or I was sleeping. So it's hard. They were all like not the best timing for Americans.
No. Well, and see, in the end, the numbers were what I expected. Maximum 30, 35 people in an event. Although there were 100 in the VR chat, we had maybe 4 different styles of events in VR chat. There was a group of 100 people, the group, but I never saw more than 30 in a space. And yeah, definitely one huge aspect is they only catered to one time zone. So that's going to be my main feedback. If you just cater to one time zone, I mean, and during the weekdays, I mean, really, you need to actually have a program that stretches. There needs to be American presenters as well, European presenters, Oceania presenters, in order to really, get a proper conference vibe happening. So that'll be my feedback. And then, have you heard about New Eden in VR chat?
I haven't. You sent me the event invite, but I wasn't able to get in. So I wanna know more about them.
Yeah. Well, I have been to some other parties in VR chat that have been full, like to capacity, 80 people, because that's all that VR chat allows us to have. And it was really interesting. I learned a lot about how to run an event like that. You have to regulate
Oh.
everyone. And they had built this beautiful theatre. And so it was a cabaret, the Evergarden Cabaret by New
Neat.
Eden. And it looks like they've got something that people want. That instance was full within 10 minutes. And there was a
Cool.
queue of
Wow.
35 people waiting for an hour to get in.
Wow.
And it ran for 2.5 hours. So yeah, it was really great to get a chance to jump in, get a chance to see what they're doing, performances, avatar performances, dancing, and I
Neat.
had to leave.
Yeah,
So
I
that
would
was
love to
I only
see
saw
that.
3 shows. Yeah, well,
Aw.
it looks like you got to be on your toes. So I
Yeah.
learned that you've got to be like ready
Waiting
with
for
your
it to
finger on
start,
the
yeah.
group button. Yeah, like this, and then click on the group. Don't wait for it to come up on the group board. Just click straight on the group and try and jump in. So excursion would be good
Neat.
soon. They have some
Yeah.
Gatsby parties for New Year,
Oh,
I
cool.
think.
Oh,
You would like
how
that.
That'd be fun.
exciting. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I want
Great
to
Gatsby
dress
is
up
like
for
my
that, for
favorite
sure.
movie ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny though. They said, "Oh, dress up, and really like make your mark." And it's like I have to wear a good avatar. How can I, how can I dress up how I want if I have to be in a green avatar? So, I guess you still could if you were creative, but
Yeah.
they're
They
strict
wanted it
about
to be
that.
green? They
Yeah,
had to be green?
they have to be green or plus strictly.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
That's how it goes in VR. For now,
Yeah.
when it gets to a point where we can have more people in a space, that'll be
Yeah.
great.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go to
So
some
we're
more of the
coming.
theater events too and see some of those shows. That sounds like a
Yeah.
useful
Well, we're coming up to the holidays.
outlet.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming up to the holidays. So I guess there's going to be lots of events and the end of year events happening. So it's just a matter of maybe looking
Right.
around and working out what we want to go to.
Did you have any criticism of the VR event? Like, was there people being disruptive? Were there issues with people's mics not being muted? Did you observe any event issues that you wouldn't normally see in an event in person?
What I observed is a very well organized, sort of managed space. So
Cool.
no, I didn't see anyone acting out. Everyone just came in, sat down on their chair, and just just watched. Then the people were
Yeah.
chatting in
Wow,
their
that's
groups,
great.
and and they had the style of little cherubs bringing you drinks, VR drinks,
Cute.
and when you drank the
Cute.
drink, something happens. There's a little animation that so there's an
Oh,
action.
neat. Wow, how
Little things like
fun.
that. So it feels like something is altered in your vision, or I think they had
Yeah.
floating candles with one drink.
Cute.
So those
Wow.
little
And then if you
interactions
have
like that, I guess, engage people.
if you have 6 drinks, do you fall over? Your
That's a
your
really good
character gets
question.
drunk?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many
yeah.
VR
Do you
drinks does it
end up
take
like
to make
this,
your character
leaning? Good
When I
question.
asked you that question,
So
I asked
they
that
had an
question,
MC as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they had an MC, so it was sort of a managed sort of space like that. Hey, I'm the MC, and now
Okay.
we've got the shows, and
Okay. So I asked that question. I went to this really fancy concert hall in Portland once. It was gold gilded, huge, $100 tickets for this fancy event. It actually was John Prine, which is not necessarily a fancy concert, but there was this drunk man that was definitely I don't know where he came from, but definitely from some backwoods Oregon, and he almost fell over the railing because he was just drunk and had a bunch of beers and was just it's funny to see people in different contexts and not know the social cues. So I was wondering if that happens in VR because you get people from all over the world in different cultures and contexts that aren't kind of socialized to let's go to the theater.
Mm-hmm. I think because we don't actually have to walk in VR, because I think some people do because full body tracking, but if you're half body, you don't actually have to walk. So I guess you can be in your house, drunk and like still able to be at the event. Whereas in real life, you can't do that because you actually have to walk, like
Yeah,
actually
you have
hold
to like keep your
yourself
shit
up.
together.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Whereas in VR, you sort of could just be on the couch, but still at the event. Like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah, no, I mean, I definitely felt like it felt like I went to a real life space. It was interesting. So that's just the way that they set up the
Cool.
roll off with the sound. When I arrived, I felt
Love
like I
that.
was waiting with all of these people excitedly in the foyer. I could hear
Cute.
the thump of the music really gently. And then
Aw.
doors are open,
Aw,
everyone runs in, and then, you go down some
cute.
stairs, and the next minute you're in the hall and the music's like quality sound. So
Neat.
it gave me the feeling of really, yeah, they had it set up right. I think that's really important. The
Totally.
Yeah,
sound,
I'm so
what do you
sorry I
call that?
missed that. That sounds amazing.
Our perception of
Well, so
sound is really important.
that's it.
Hmm.
Totally. So shout out to New Eden if you can get to some of their events or follow them on VRC. They're a worthwhile group to check out, and I hope I can go to a future event too.
Yeah, me too, definitely. Field trip.
In
Yes,
comparison,
do that.
since I couldn't
We'll
get into
organise
that, since I couldn't get into that event, and so I went to this NSFW group event that was just like a dance party for like Purview people, and they were like competing over who could have the most shots, and I was like, why are we still playing dumb drinking games when we're in VR?
Why are we
Like,
still doing
it was
this?
like it was still an interesting culture. Like, oh, I gotta catch up. You have another. And it's just like I wonder actually if some of them are faking it, and maybe it's one way to manage alcoholism is if you're at home in VR, you can just say you're taking more shots, but you're not actually. And so it's just like you're saying it for peer pressure, like you're supposed to. But yeah, it was like it's interesting that it was that kind of like culture of like this sort of like competition over drinking. I would much rather have preferred the theater space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like surely there's other things we can have competitions over. I know they're fun, but what else could we do?
Totally.
It is just so old
Totally.
school. Thinking a little
Yeah.
bit more creatively, like what else can we do to be more interactive in the space? Like I don't know, how many boobies can you get to consent to touch? Something like that, right? That
Totally.
would be better.
Especially in
How
fun.
many boobies can you
Yeah.
can you get consent from in the space? Okay, let's go.
Especially in that like NSFW party, it's like there's so many more interesting things we could do. Yeah, how many orgasms can you get to? How many, so many more interesting, fun things we could do.
That would be super fun. How many orgasms can you
Yeah.
have here as in a
Yeah,
group?
that's a great idea.
Like that group does
Isn't
do like
it?
orgasm parties where they're edging each other. So that group does do parties where they're edging themselves and each other together. So like that would be an interesting event to go to someday. Yeah. Cool. Well,
Who was
I
that?
think Serendipity.
Is that just like
oh,
ERP?
Is
that just
it's
an
the ERP
ERP group or?
NSFW
Okay.
BRC? I think it's called NSFW. Mm-hmm.
And are
Yeah,
you
they do some
age
sexy
verified
events.
in order
they
to
age
join those
verify,
events?
and then they age verify,
Oh,
and then
good.
they check your VRC name too.
Through.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Through Discord. Yeah,
Yep.
holiday time. We are here at that time of year again.
Yeah.
Pagan
overwhelming.
come together gathering time. How do you find it, Serendipity?
Oh, just
You excited about the holidays?
even just the mention. No, I'm not. I hate saying it. I miss the days of being a kid and the holidays when you didn't have to worry about anything. But, now that I'm the adult and I have the kids, I'm the one in charge, and I'm the one that has to make sure the house gets decorated and that we do fun seasonal events and all the presents are bought and all the presents are wrapped and under the tree for Christmas. And it's hard. It's really hard. And what makes it so much worse is the short daylight hours. Sunsets before like 5 o'clock these days. I don't know. I'm one of those people that I guess it's, seasonal affective disorder is what it's called. As soon as the daylight starts dwindling away, it's just something in my chemistry changes and I have a hard time coping with it. Do either of you guys have that at all?
Yeah, I think that's partially why I live in
I'm gonna
Mexico
place
right
my
now, because
hand on your leg.
I just like couldn't handle. I can't handle the cold and like the darkness. So like Mexico really like helps me with that a lot.
Yeah, you were talking earlier
It
about how
directly
there's only
affects
like a
your
10
mental
degree
health?
difference, and oh, I
Yeah, no,
wish.
it feels so much better. My body feels better here. My emotions feel better here. I just feel way more regulated. Like the temperature, like something about the, I don't know if it's like energy meridians and the but something about like the culture here and the temperature. My body just is feels so much better, and my mind is so connected to how my body feels. I'm so sensitive. Maybe it's my
Yeah,
like neurodivergency. I'm really sensitive to temperature changes.
same. Yeah,
Or do you
like
think it's the
cold
culture?
triggers anxiety for me, big
Oh,
time.
really?
Like, oh yeah, like I've noticed, one thing that helps my anxiety is I always have like an electric heating pad set up on the couch. And so
Oh
if I'm
yeah, I like
starting
that.
to feel anxious, I turn my heating pad on and I like snuggle it to my chest.
Yeah,
And
I
the
like that.
chest specifically because it warms up the blood that
Sweet.
your heart's pumping and it helps so
Yeah.
much.
Do you have a weighted blanket at your house?
Mm.
You
You
know
know what
what?
those
I've
are?
tried that and I had such high hopes, but I
Yeah.
toss and turn too much. And I was kind of hoping that having the weighted blanket would sort of stop that, but it just woke me up even
Yeah.
more like, "Ugh, I gotta shift." And so I ended up returning
Yeah.
it. It didn't, yeah.
I don't
I've tried
I
twice.
don't like them for
I've tried like a
I
big
don't like them
full
as much
body
at
one and then
night.
I tried a small one.
Yeah. I like them more just for like that moment when I'm needing to like ground my body in. Like there's like a thing to hide under, like but not necessarily for sleep. Like they're better as like a
Yeah.
temporary like relief. Yeah.
So
But yeah, I
like
think it's like it's the warmth.
yes.
Oh. Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
So Lily
Yeah.
shared with us.
Did
Lily's
your
watching on chat.
voice?
Hi, Lily. Hi, Lily. And Lily said that
Hi.
she also has seasonal affective disorder, but is easier in a sunny place. Yeah, I feel that, Lily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah, right. To just be, if we can actually get ourselves outside and into the sun and into the warmth, then it can shift
Yeah.
our mental health like almost instantly, our mental state.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Mm.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question
me and
about
my
Because
this
it's
husband are
holiday? Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
we both got questions. So go ahead. No, go Soleil. I'll go after you. We both.
Do you feel like the social pressure that your house has to be a certain way and the holidays have to be a certain way? Like, or is it like things? Is it pressure from your husband? Like, where does the pressure come from you? Of like how it's supposed to be?
Mm.
Oh, it's entirely from myself. And I think it's because growing up, my mom was always the type to, everything was always decorated. We had what was called the December calendar that she would do for us every year. And it was like, she'd get a big cardboard, what do you call them? The like poster boards. And it would be a calendar
Uh-huh.
of December. And every day in December, there was some different special activity that we would do. Like,
Yeah.
one day it would be go pick out a candy bar from the store or pass out miniature candy canes to all the neighbors or call the grandparents to say I love you. It was always something little, but it was something to look forward to
Yeah.
every day. Um and that's something I really wanted to do, but God, I can't bring myself to get it done. So I think it's pressure for myself because I have all these
Yeah.
positive memories from growing up, from the holidays, and I want to do that for
Yeah.
my kids. But
Yeah.
I struggle. It's hard. It's like I feel like I'm pretty good at the decorating thing. I have lots of Christmas decorations and stuff like that, but beyond that, just the pressure to make sure, all the gifts are bought and, we have an even amount of gifts for the kids because you don't want one to get more than the other. And then you have to buy presents for so many people, the parents, the in-laws. It's just, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Sounds overwhelming. Yeah, I don't actually buy into the whole social pressure thing. So it's interesting. And I was sort of with Soleil there, really curious as to, are you able to release some of that pressure for yourself because you're putting it on yourself? Can you do less? Can you just choose a few things that you enjoy doing?
I try. Just yesterday, I had a spa day with my friend Arlene. We went to the Korean spa
Nice.
in
Oh,
LA,
I love
which
those.
was nice. Yeah. Oh man, if you've never been to a Korean spa, they're freaking
They're
amazing.
so fun.
Um,
I love them.
yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, so I try, and I also had a special night on Friday night. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about psychedelics, but I'll
Right.
say psychedelics were
Yeah.
involved, and
Ah,
it was my birthday
Cool.
actually, a milestone
glad you
birthday.
oh,
did that.
So
really? Yay!
yeah,
So you had a trippy birthday.
I
Cool.
did.
Happy
Very
birthday
trippy.
to you. Happy birthday
Oh,
Oh,
that's
thank
to
you.
excellent.
you.
Good to hear that
Yeah,
you're taking that time to do
Birthday, dear
self-care.
Cindy,
That's
birthday.
super important.
yes, I am trying. I'm trying my hardest.
Mhm.
I'm glad you did. Yeah. And so it was
We
a
have
good trip. You had a
Lilybit.
good
We have
experience.
Lilybit.
Oh, it was a roller
Yes.
coaster. um,
Yeah.
I cried a lot, but I also laughed like a absolute maniac a lot. It was very up and
Aw,
down, but overall it was good.
so glad.
And,
You
and
were in
you
like
know,
a safe
sometimes
space.
it's
You had
good
all
to
the
just
things you
cry and
needed.
get it out. Yeah, very safe space.
Totally. I think
I feel
it's
like
like a good
psychedelics
way
are
of
good
releasing
for
stress from the body.
It
totally.
is. Yeah, crying is like the best.
Yeah.
It's the best
They
when
kind of
you
open
like
new
have this
pathways.
just built up energy. Yeah, just
Mhm.
open it all up and get it out.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that sounds like the whole buying thing. I mean, you understand that the commercial aspect of this time of year is really just been designed by the, consumerist system.
Oh yeah, I know,
And
but
I choose not to do it because if I feel to give a gift, I'll give it from my heart, but not because they say that I have to give a gift at this time. But I have grown up in a bit of a
yeah,
different family to you. I understand.
hmm
I had the Christmas thing as well growing up, and I loved it. It was a beautiful time of coming together. But then, as adults, our family was very like, whatever. We don't have to get together. If we want to, we do. There's no obligation. And so, for the most part, we didn't then. So it was like I grew up a little bit differently. There wasn't a pressure of you have to do this and you
Right.
have to play the game.
yeah.
But yeah,
You know what makes me super uncomfortable is receiving presents from somebody that you didn't get a present for. Like, and I
Yeah.
know if I give a gift to somebody and they don't give one in return, I'm not like judging or thinking about it. But when it's me, I just feel, I don't know, like guilty, like, oh man, I really should have got them something. And so I think that's where a lot of the pressure comes from is receiving gifts and feeling like, okay, I really need to reciprocate.
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
It's funny because I just recently moved away from the U.S. and like relocated to Mexico, and I basically sold all of my shit, and I spent the last like 2 years like slowly purging my life that I had accumulated for 40 years, and like you don't realize like how much shit you have that you never need, and a lot of it is like this culture of like
Yeah.
buying things to make ourselves feel good, but also buying
Yes.
things because we think we're supposed to, or because like this is
Yeah.
how we're supposed to show affection, or this is how like
Yeah.
when it's like a lot of the shit we don't need, we don't really want, we don't really have like it doesn't really increase like connection or meaning. So I think that's a lot of like
Yeah.
space, like have conversations with our family and friends and say to them like, what is really meaningful to you? Like how can I, do we want to plan a
Agreed.
date together? Do we want to like make something for each other? Can we make a meal together? Find other ways to like connect that's not about stuff that like we will just either like be annoyed by or
Yep.
regift or like he'll sit around in the
Yeah.
corner for 5 years and like yeah, although I will say my first VR headset I ever had was a gift from my ex-mother-in-law, which I was really grateful for. So thank you to
Yeah.
her who had money to buy whatever I wanted. And I was like, please get me a VR
Yeah.
headset. But like I think
Yeah, we're not saying that gifts are bad, but that
Yeah, and
pressure that it's been put on to reciprocate.
And totally. And for you, it's like with your kids, you get to change that with them. Like you get to just say for them, like, hey, instead we're going to make gifts for other people. And we're
Yeah.
going to do, maybe we'll do activities maybe we'll go volunteer at a shelter. We'll do things for the holidays. That's around like giving and connecting, not about like accumulating. Cause like Jesus didn't care about gifts. Like that was if for the Christian perspective, like the gifts were very much a pagan tradition that was sort of adopted by the Christians so that they could like take over some of the pagan traditions, but it was like never an obligation under like this is what makes you a good person,
Yeah. Another thing is
We got
like
someone
you
on the
were
chat.
saying this. Oh, yeah.
Is there someone mentioning talking to us on the chat there? Was that what the raised hand was?
Oh yeah.
What
Like
is the advert?
Oh, thank you.
Lilybit mentioned the Advent calendar
Sorry,
too
I
as
just
a like
paused
British
there.
tradition.
What is that?
The Advent calendar, where you like open one little door every day, and it's like a little gift. In the British in the Advent calendars, one day of every day of the month.
Okay.
Yeah, we get
cool.
them for the
Is
kids,
your
but they're
voice
just
being
little
projected
chocolates.
in here? Okay, cool. So our producer's just reading us some of the comments from our chat stream. And Lilybit also says, it's your birthday and you cry if you want to. Cry if you want to. Cry if you want to.
Always.
Fuck everything.
Oh.
I cry if I want to. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you would too. You'd cry too if it happened to you. So yeah, she just wanted to let you know that serendipity. Yeah. Yeah, I think that the social pressure at this time of year is, I mean, what you're speaking about, serendipity, stresses a lot of people out and stresses their bank account. And it's just not necessary.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to waste, as you're saying, Soleil, waste all of this money giving it to a supermarket or a company to buy plastic products often that, like you said, are
Yes.
going to be put to the side or played with for a couple of days. And
Yeah.
I love what you're saying, Soleil. I really love that idea of, hey, let's actually, if I want to show my love to you, let's do something together. Or
Yeah.
let's make something that you don't buy. Make an agreement, hey, I'm going to do
Exactly.
gifts, but I'm not going to buy any of them. So what's that going to be? Flowers,
Yeah.
make something with your hands, find some clothes that you want to give away, recycle something you don't need anymore, still wrap it up, make it all fancy if you want. But
And
I
kids
think
love that
that'd be
shit.
a
Like
great exercise. Kids,
it's an
yeah.
activity for kids to like get involved and engaged, and yeah, like I think there's a lot of, and like for you, like when your mental health's already struggling, it's like give yourself a break right now.
Yeah.
You having patience with yourself is the most important thing, where you're like you have as much spaciousness to like have calm relaxation, to have like grounding in your body, like nourishing you, like time for like breathing, time for yoga, time for meditation, time for time with friends. Like that's what you need. Like you don't need like hustle of holiday shopping and like baking or whatever. Like, and so like listening to what your body needs is way more important to your family and you showing up for them than it is that you do all of the things in the right way. Because then you're showing up
that's
as
true.
you versus like you're performing like the Waltons Christmas in the way that you're supposed to.
And I think that that's right. I don't know, would it be to do things with your children? So rather than having to buy them the right number of gifts and get the right thing, would you do things where, like we're saying, we're just going to make gifts for each other. We're going to go outside and we're going to find things in nature, for example, and with some string and some stuff, whatever, we're going to put something together and give it to each other, still wrap it up. I think it could be a relaxing thing to do together as a family rather than the stressful idea of having to go and get it all right. We're sort of saying the same thing here, Soleil and I. So, how to help
Is your
people?
mom actually?
How to help people who also feel this?
Is your mom still in your life? Is she going to be around for the holidays?
Yes, she is. Yeah, I was actually just at her house today.
Can you ask her for help too? Could you give her jobs? Like, Mom, would you do these things with my kids, or would you help me with these? Like, maybe she would be open since she really likes that stuff. Maybe she'd be open to like being more of a resource for you too.
That's a really good idea. You know what? I wonder if she
assign
would
Grandma some jobs.
maybe enjoy like putting together a December calendar next year, something like that.
Yeah, give her a job. I'm sure Grandpa's always want something to do.
That's a great idea.
They want to be involved. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're doing great. I'm proud of you for talking about your feelings. Like the hardest thing about depression and like mental illness is talking about it. So like putting it out there to the universe means that we get positive energy back towards us that helps us to heal and us move through the things that are happening because we're not keeping it all inside of ourselves. So thank you for letting all of our friends in the Hotties and VR world support you and us as well.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know what? I like talking about things like this because I want other people to feel heard like other people that are going through this, because I know so many people do. I know so many people struggle with this, and not just, at the holidays or, winter time, but year round. It's a really big issue, and it's a big part of my life. I've been dealing with anxiety since I was 9 years old, and the depression kicked in around ninth grade or so, and it's been a constant struggle ever since then. I'll have my good days, I'll have good months, and then it's just like, I don't know, it's just something always brings it back. And I have, an extensive family history of mental health issues. One of my aunts had schizophrenia. One of my cousins had schizophrenia. There's a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety in my family. So, yeah, I want other people to feel comfortable talking about it also, because holding it in doesn't help.
Yeah, well, it's the only way that we're going to actually release anxiety and stress and hysteria is by talking. It's actually, and I say that because I was just looking at doing Tantric Whispers is a workshop I've been running recently, and we look at, the enemies of the chakras, and one of the enemies is stress, anxiety, and hysteria, and it's the one that relates to the throat chakra. So, if you know a little bit about the chakra system, I'm sure you do. So, how there's energy body, they say that they're like a energy center, and the throat is obviously about our truth, about our speaking up for ourselves, about communicating and being intimately fluid with other people. And so if you look at that, it's quite interesting that it's the stress that's the enemy, meaning the enemy blocks the movement of your communication.
Right.
And so if you flip it around, that then says to me, I have to speak up. I have to share what's happening for me. I have to activate this. I have to talk in order to combat the enemy. And that's why therapy or speaking with someone can be a good start to, opening up and sharing or speaking with your friend. But I think we need to find methods for ourselves that work. And this is not easy. Find something that works for us that we can release the stress.
Yeah. I really need to look more into the whole chakra thing. I've read some, but I definitely feel like that's something I need help with.
I've just sort of found it's given me a different awareness about, looking at those types of things, like the emotions that really challenge us, the things that block us, and sort of using that to reverse engineer in a way, like, okay, I'm feeling jealousy. Okay, jealousy is the enemy of the crown chakra. Okay, what does that mean? I'm just trying to understand that, and I'm slowly getting there. Slowly. I had a day of jealousy the other week, and it was really interesting how it zapped my energy so much. I was like, for most of the day, I was zapped. I just was like, I couldn't do much else, but just try and process this and just move it. Had to go to the beach, to get in the water, and just like talk, have this self-talk. And the way that I did it was tried what I've been learning is, okay, if jealousy attacks my crown chakra, then what is my crown chakra about? It's about my dream, about what I'm here to do. Yeah, about my consciousness, about what else? Like, I don't know, there's a couple of ways to look at this. It's my dream wheel. And so I go, okay, how could I focus on what I'm doing? Will that help? And it did. I brought my focus back to, you've got this event happening. What are you doing? What's your pathway? And are you walking on it? Or are you looking at what this other person's doing? I was looking at what they were doing and getting all jealous. And I had to bring my focus back to, what am I doing? And then I was able to sort of got over it. But it was an interesting process. Yeah, and amazing how much energy I lost over it. So that's what we're talking about here too, is how can we have more energy gain rather than energy loss from these things like stress, anxiety, and hysteria. Sorry, went off on a tangent there. But
that's okay. I want to share too, serendipity, that sometimes the moving through depression and anxiety is like learning like mental illness didn't exist in the way that it does 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and a lot of like our current like stressors and mental illness. So like how it manifests currently, according to the DSM, according to like diagnosticians, is like humans that are having trouble adapting to our current world because our world is really inherently like incredibly stressful and depressing and anxiety ridden right now because we've moved out of communities, we've moved out of belonging, we've moved out of regulation. Like we are living in hustle culture, we're living in competition culture. Like so, we lived in a pretty like fucked up cultural system, and like a lot of things that make us sick in terms of mental illness is the systems and the like other oppression that we're facing. So sometimes it's also externalizing it to be able to know that like very rarely are like is there something like chemically or like organically wrong. Like there's times where like someone will have a psychosis or someone will have some really intense chemical shifts, but a lot of it is like so much highly correlated to us trying to adapt to survive in a really fucked up system. And most of us aren't meant to survive in it because it's not made for us. It's very few people I talk to right now can even afford, like most people aren't making a living wage, and so then we're like so stressed about like why we're not performing well in the world, and it's like currently no one is surviving well in the world, and that's not your fault.
Yep. So right.
You know what? Something actually I've discovered that really helps me mentally has been cutting out meat, which I never would have thought. Like I originally gave up meat. It was roughly 2 years ago. Maybe, somewhere around 2 years ago. And I gave it up for ethical reasons because, I love animals and just the thought of what they go through is, it's horrifying to think about. So I gave up meat for a long time, and I noticed really quickly how positively it affected my mood. And I wasn't expecting that at all. But somewhere along the line, I got sick of having to be conscious about what I was eating all the time. And it's a lot more convenient to eat meat. It's a lot more convenient to base meals around, okay, well, I'm going to have chicken breasts with vegetables and, starch or whatever. So I just sort of went back to eating meat, and it was just maybe a week and a half ago or something like that. I was thinking, man, last year I was doing so much better, even during the winter. Like I felt good. What has changed between last year and this year? And it occurred to me, last year I wasn't eating meat. So I made the decision to cut the meat out again about a week and a half ago or whatever it was, and already I'm feeling the benefits of it. And like I tried Googling it because I was thinking like, okay, well, is this good for a lot of people that suffer from depression? And all I could find online was linking being vegetarian or vegan and having depression, not relieving the depression. So it's really weird. Like, yeah,
but I think everyone's body chemistry is different. So like, your body could be unique in that it like likes certain kinds of nutrients, and but I think it's good that you're like just open to noticing. I mean, a lot of it's also like vitamins and how we're getting enough like vitamins that supplement the chemicals that we're missing from our bodies. And so I'm all about like finding the right herbs and things that help balance our bodies.
Yeah,
that might just be the right vegetable combinations.
I do a lot of supplements
perhaps
too.
When you're being more creative, maybe when you're not eating meat, you're being more creative with the meal that you're creating, as you say. Like you've got to think a little bit more about getting enough substance and your vitamins, and maybe that's maybe when you go back to meat, it's sort of like, I don't know, you're not as creative, or you're not getting enough food groups. I don't know. And perhaps that
I don't know.
That's directly affecting your chemistry.
It's definitely dense.
I mean, eating animal is definitely dense. Like, it takes a lot for our body to process it and to break it down. So it just requires energy, I guess. But
yeah,
there's also chemicals and antibiotics and who knows what pumped into that meat. Like if it's not organic, then what are you actually eating? So I live in a place where I can buy maybe not quite organic, but at least close to organic meat. And I don't want them to be jabbed with fucking, whatever. They started to jab animals, man, after this whole jab bullshit. Can't believe it. They start to jab the animals that we're eating. So, maybe it's good to cut out meat unless you're getting it from an organic place. Yes.
Since we're a sci-fi futuristic tech podcast or stream, what do you all think of the fake meat that's being
Yes.
produced? Do you think that there's some like future in the fake meat farming industry?
I do.
Oh, it just makes me sick.
I think it's great.
Oh, really makes me sick. Ugh. But yeah, tell me, what do you mean? How is that great that we're manufacturing? Why make it fake meat? Why aren't we just growing
Well,
our
okay.
vegetables outside? There's a really big issue happening at the moment with the government's trying to actually cause a food supply shortage issue. It's incredible. So for me, no, I don't support that because we should be growing, the farmers should be growing our food and we should be eating from the land, not creating food in a lab. Oh, it's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of. But
Well,
it
when you
just
put it
blows
that
me
way.
away. And it supports, yeah, sorry, I'm going to finish my rant, but it supports this whole thing that they're trying to do. They're asking farmers to put used oil on their land to ruin their soil. And they're paying them more than, double, triple their crop. This has been happening in different countries around the world. And it blows me away that it's actually fucking happening. They are purposely destroying the land and destroying the farmers so that they create a food shortage, so that they create more slavery, and so that you have to go and buy everything from the supermarket. And if there's no food there, well, too fucking bad. Because you know what? You don't know how to grow your own vegetables or how to grow your own chickens. That's
Yeah,
my
that's
rant.
creepy.
So, nah. It's creepy. That's all I can say. But I'm happy to hear your opinion because that's what we're all about here on Hotties and VR is everyone's arrogant opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, what I think is great about it is that it's saving animals' lives, but the way you put it is very convincing. It's all
I don't know.
processed and unnatural.
Can't be good for you. Can't be good. It can't be food. Not real food.
Yeah.
Oops.
Have a hot chocolate.
And I think-
Serendipity. There you go.
And I think that for me the answer is it should be a combination of both. Like anything that we need to be like nourishing our land, like helping rebuild soil, rebuild farmland, reforest lands, like helping nourish the earth so that we have food forever. And also if we need to like if we instead of killing animals unethically, like other ways to like create like I know there's like some fish being produced in facilities, like other ways to create sustainable food sources that isn't a lot of chemicals, that is still using natural sources, but using without having to deplete the land and resources. So I think there's maybe some middle ground there that we can find that I see happening in some places in the world. But I mean, the bottom line is true of all of it that like we don't want companies getting richer off of our like the hunger crisis in the world. Like lots of humans don't have food, and there's tons of food being wasted because of the way that current food management occurs in the world, in America, in supermarkets. So there's actually a podcast on I think it was on Radiolab. They did this podcast about the guy who started Piggly Wiggly stores, and he was the first supermarket ever. And like it tells like the story of how this guy went from a small like local hometown little grocery to creating this supermarket chain. And it was just like one fucking asshole who was like, he had this idea, and everyone in this small town was like, oh yeah, this is great, this is interesting, and we can get all things in one place. But then like he was such a corrupt, and like he had this mission to like take down the local stores, and it like proliferated because it was around this like race for capitalism and race to have the like fastest, easiest thing versus like quality food, and moving to like packaged and canned products that also going back to like World War II and like the kind of like need for quick and easy meals when there was shortages of like resources. And but yeah, there's lots of reasons we got to where we are, but ultimately we need to learn how to grow our own food and be more connected to the land and get back to like actually like supporting local businesses and local humans making food, not corporations.
Yeah,
exactly. And they generally are there, like those smaller groups and the farmers. They're there. It's just making the effort or going out of your way. It's maybe a little less convenient to go to the farmers markets or to select the certain butcher. Like I select the butcher that I go to. I just don't go to any butcher. Yeah. It's the one that will sell the free range and the organic meats. And so being selective about where we put our dollar is also really important. Totally. And I don't think people understand this, that we have power with our dollar and choosing where to put it. So I can choose to give it to the supermarket who forced people to be jabbed, but I can also give it to a small company, that grows vegetables that didn't force their staff into doing non-consensual activities.
Is money called dollars in
I
Australia?
choose. Yeah, we're dollars, but we're just dollars that
Yeah.
are worth half your dollar. That's all. It's still called a dollar, but it's not a dollar, of course, because the whole
Gotcha.
monetary system is so fucked up. Yeah, we're about,
Yeah.
60 cents.
Okay.
We're about 60 cents a
That's
view.
funny.
Yeah.
I definitely see that more in Mexico though. Like by across the street from my house is a butcher that has a cow hanging that he had brought in that he butchers the there's
exactly.
and there's little local tiendas that have local produce. Like it still is really a culture here in Mexico. Like there are big supermarkets,
beautiful.
but people really try to support the local stores and it's really worthwhile. Like it's so much better and so much more quality and I hope that a lot of America could get back to that way of living because it makes a difference for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So for your holiday meals, go out and shoot a turkey for yourself and find a neighbor who's growing some produce that you can make your holiday meal. You don't need canned cranberry sauce.
I think that's the issue. No, but I think that's just the problem that we're speaking about is because we have we're not taught, we don't know how to grow a food. Like I don't even know. And it's been a systematic repression of that type of education so that we're forced into the consumerist culture. That it's actually been designed that way. Like to lose connection, as you were saying, we've lost connection with the earth, we've lost connection with nature, and that's being purposeful by the powers who want us to be enslaved. And so, yes, taking the power that we can back, which is at least where do I spend my dollar, is the first thing we can do. And we can choose our local farmers or choose our, the corner store rather than the big guys because they're who I'm living with. They're in my community.
And something super simple is just having meals. Totally. Something super simple is having meals together because every person making their own food every night wasn't our culture historically. Like families ate together and communities ate together, and so not having to always create everyone cook a big meal every night for themselves is very much a sexist patriarchal idea that this wife should be at home making this homemade 3-course meal, and it's no, we should be eating together more and having more community and belonging around food, and then we save money that way and we save food that way too. I really hate wasting food, throwing it away when there's
Yes.
And that's more prevalent in Mexico. Would you say you're in a culture now that is more around that
more
eating
food sharing
community culture?
Way more
okay, beautiful.
Yeah, way more meals together, way more families together.
Oh, yeah. I remember actually when I went to Mexico, I was there at Christmas time. So that's interesting. This time of year, I was there for Christmas and New Year, and we were doing couch surfing as a way of traveling around. So it was free, and we just stayed in this family's home. Oh, my God. It was fantastic because they took us along to their family Christmas. So this lady that we met and went to her dad's place, and he's 80, drinking his mezcal. He's, non-smoker, but mezcal every day. But he's healthy right? Of course. And I had the experience of a Mexican Christmas because it has some certain customs that are different, to the Western customs. And there was still a present concept, but it was more like a present that had, thousands of wrappings. And I don't know, it was sort of like a pass around the room. You unwrap, and it wasn't that there had to be a gift for everybody, but there was a couple of those. I don't know if you've heard of that or whether I'm just making that up.
Yeah.
And we sat together, and I got super drunk on the mezcal, but in a really trippy way because that's 100% agave style. I'd never really had that much before. No, actually, I hadn't. I didn't know about agave until I went to Mexico, and it's such a pure drink. And it almost got me to a tripping state, not fully tripping, like LSD, but just this interesting drunk state that wasn't the same feeling as other alcohols. So we went home after that, and being a bit naughty, was trying to pick up the lady's brother because he was super hot with my partner. So we tried to pick him up, but we're in the family home, and we're in the bedroom next door, and we're like, how are we going to do that? Anyway, we just...
That's funny.
Had the fantasy, didn't happen, and then we went to the bedroom, and as I'm being penetrated anally, I'm looking up at this Virgin Mary picture on the wall, right? She's looking
perfect for the
right down at me.
Catholics.
She's
Oh,
up there.
geez.
Yeah, she was looking down at me, and I'm looking up at her while I'm getting fucked. And I was like, had this trippy moment of like, oh my God, the shame. She's looking at me and like she's so unapproving. She's so disapproving of what's happening right now. And I went through this momentary thing of shame, and then I went, nah, fuck it, this is hilarious, and told my partner about it. I was like, look, but Mary's watching us. Oh.
That's amazing.
Anyways, that's my mezcal story. I always remember that. It was so funny.
That's a true
It was
Mexican
tripping,
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Infected the ass of Mary watching.
Exactly. A true Mexican Christmas. I love it. I'll have that again, thanks. 100% agave and Mary.
Yeah.
Oh, hilarious. Yeah.
Just need a tamale in each hand, and then you're good.
And then I found out that they also do a family thing at New Year's, which is quite different for me. Anyway, for me, it's like family, Christmas, family time, but New Year's is not family time, it's party time, friends time. But I noticed that they also had a family moment at New Year's, like another get together.
Yeah.
So I don't know when they partied. But
yeah, I'm still learning the
first
traditions.
Christmas in
I'm excited.
Mexico.
Yeah, I'm excited to experience it.
Yeah.
There's like a different thing that like a Catholic thing that's starting this week. That's like 12 days of like something about Mary. I don't know. So yeah, I'm definitely like learning some of the other traditions and like, and they definitely like have. It's much more about family and food and connection, and less about gifts. It is more about just like belonging and being connected. And
Okay, what's the traditional sort of what's the traditional celebration? Do they call it something? Or is it just Christmas?
This week there's a different name for this week. There's like these 12 days have a different name, which I'm forgetting. But then Christmas is still Navidad, and then
but
they
not
celebrate
the Catholic
like, on the day
thing.
of. The Catholic thing is this week. This is the
there
12
anything
days
else?
of this Catholic.
Okay.
Then on Christmas the day
day
itself is the Navidad. Yeah.
Okay, Navidad.
And then I guess there's like another day of like the day of the king. There's a day of the Three Kings, and there's a day of there's a couple of other days I'm still learning about. I should, okay, my homework by next time. I will have the Mexican holidays figured out by the next stream, so I can tell you all about the Mexican Christmas.
Sounds like they're all Christian though. Still sounds like they're all Christian.
Yeah,
there's no like traditional, still
I mean, there's
like a
some
tradition
traditional
remaining.
The Nahuatls are the closest tribe here, and they indigenous communities, and they definitely have their own traditions. A lot of it's surrounding the peyote, the peyote plant.
Yep.
But I haven't heard about any happening this time of year, so I'll have to ask.
Have you experienced the peyote?
I have not yet. It's really protected, so you can't get access to it without like sitting in a ceremony with someone from that culture, and it's pretty like it's a very sacred plant, and I wouldn't want to fuck with it until I was in a place to like receive it and have it be gifted to me. So yeah. Although they do, I heard from my love that they see lizard people when they take it sometimes. There's definitely like the lizard people phenomenon is like stems from the peyote plant.
You mean
or
they
the
aliens
see humans
as lizards?
Exactly.
They see the lizard and element in the human.
Yep. And or it could be that's when they were seeing aliens. That there's maybe some. Feel free to correct me, anyone watching.
Yes.
I'm probably getting it wrong.
I feel like psychedelics might open a window to other dimensions, maybe, and other types of entities that we're not usually aware of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just shift our perception enough, break our perception up enough to see what is here, but we just don't normally see it because the the box that we're perceiving through. That's how I see psychedelics in a way. They can sort of change what we're perceiving or how we perceive it.
Yeah, see additional like layers of something,
and we can also just make shit up too. Yeah. We can also just hallucinate, I think, and it's just really our brain having fun with the chemicals racing through and producing these stories. Oh no, that's not true. Hallucination is actually like something to do with your eyes, your vision being affected.
But you can have auditory or visual, or you can have different kinds of hallucinations too.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Auditory hallucination. How does that work? Well, you're hearing,
You're hearing things
hearing
right there,
something,
yeah,
and
versus like. Mhm.
Well, they are they there, or are they just inside my own? They're inside my own brain. These
Yeah, your brain is
sounds.
perceiving something, so yeah, your brain is perceiving
Mm.
some shift, and you could have hallucinations without any auditory or visuals. Like it could be your brain is just like telling stories. That yeah, our brains are like infinitely complex and creative, and I think I saw some statistics that we're only using maybe 10% of our brain capacity most days. So I think sometimes
Yeah.
hallucinogens also like open up new portals that we don't know how to process. Like it's not that it's completely foreign. It's just that we haven't had access to understand it and integrate it. And I've learned in my psychedelic experiences to kind of like practice rolling with whatever's coming up, where I'm like just like silently observing, kind of like in meditation, where you're like, oh, that's interesting, without like hanging on to it, like, oh, this is now the truth of who I am. And
yes.
yeah, like there was a time when I took way too much acid, and I like lost like I couldn't speak. I lost all my verbal processing skills for like a day, and I was like so.
Oh wow!
A day.
Like, now I couldn't form words. Like all my words were gibberish. Like I couldn't form. Yeah, and so I was like, I'm now psychotic. Like that was my conclusion. But then I was like, let me just like sit with this and observe where this goes. Like, did I just create a new language in my head? Am I like opening up new, like just like it's translating? And my words came back, within like 12 hours. But I was still like so panicked and I had to just kind of like sit with it. Like this is okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So you weren't too much fun on that trip then?
That was not a very fun trip. That was a scary trip
useless.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was scary. I was alone in the woods and I had COVID, and I went camping alone because I had COVID, and decided to take a bunch of take a tablet.
And you were alone.
And decided to take a bunch of
crazy
acid.
girl.
Yeah, it was a bad idea. It was a bad idea.
Wow.
Okay, so that's how
okay,
not
bad
to do
idea,
psychedelics.
Audience.
Don't do psychedelics like
not
that.
to do psychedelics. Listen, yeah, exactly. This is not the way not to do it. Don't be on your own. Have someone to help dose you, and make sure that you. What was the other piece?
Have some support.
Is maybe not while
don't
you
have COVID
have some support.
and not while you're sick. And
well,
so when I realized I realized I was at this campsite in Oregon. I realized I was starting to trip pretty hard, and I was like, I should and there was nobody around me, and I was like, I should go just tell somebody that I'm here. So I walked down the campsite. There was a road. There was one other guy in the campsite because it was like a Tuesday or something, and there was this one other guy on the other side. I walked over to him, and I remember this guy vividly. This guy named Steve, and I was like, hey, we hadn't talked yet, but I was like, hey, I'm on drugs. Can you just make sure I don't drive my car out at any point tonight? And he's like, okay. Thanks, Steve. And I just walked away. Poor Steve.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then I hid my car keys, so I hopefully couldn't find them. So I was like, that was my worst fear. Is I was gonna just try to just be unsafe with whatever was happening. So I just yeah.
You hid them. So a few tips there, kiddies. Yes.
Talk to Steve.
But also the other
Hide
thing
your
is,
keys.
what I'm hearing is that the other side of it is you would call that a bad trip or a challenging trip, but you came through the other end and you look fine, you seem fine. So I think the thing about psychedelics is it's not like other drugs in the sense of that you can't die. No one's ever died on psychedelics, have they?
Yeah, I mean,
not on
there have been
LSD
times.
anyway. As far as I know,
directly from them.
You could have
overdose.
Maybe from doing an activity,
maybe from doing something
drinking.
stupid. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you could also have a psychotic episode though, where you could have months of psychosis. So it could be mine only lasted a day, but it could have. You have times where people have months of psychosis. Okay. So that's partially why you want to be really careful. You want to have support. You want to know your body, how your body responds to drugs. I had done a lot of experience with acid before this, so it wasn't my first time. I knew generally speaking how my body responded. So, but you still want to be really smart about it, and it's not a recreational thing. It should be a thing you're doing with support and with resourcing so that you don't hurt yourself. Yeah.
Agreed. I think in the beginning for me it was recreational. Just I'll take a tab, go to a concert, and then I actually think I opened myself up to an energy in that time with my lack of awareness. Actually, so there was and that can happen as well. It can really open up your aura, open up your space to, if you're not aware, to entities that want to suck off us. Yeah, they exist. And so I wonder if the unconscious use of psychedelics can sometimes open us up when we just don't have enough awareness. And then I felt that at one time, my brother was quite aware of LSD usage, and he said to me, I think you have an entity, and so this is how you can get rid of it. And so he gave me a process of, claiming myself back and sending this thing away. And it was interesting, actually, and it may have just been totally in my head. I really can't be sure about this.
Yeah.
But I did the process that he said, and as I started to do it, it's true, this thing ran around behind me and tried to hide behind my shoulder. And I was like, nah, I see you. You can't keep hiding anymore. And I think the key that I learnt was once you can see these things, once you see them and point at them and say, I see you, they disappear. It's when they're hiding that, or when I don't want to look at it, that it can suck my energy. So I did that process. I'm not sure, but I felt better, but I also wasn't taking LSD anymore. So, it made me aware of the
And now in VR,
energetics we play with.
Now in VR, you play with your energetics all the time. Like, I feel like playing with avatars actually is playing with energetics too.
Totally.
Every time I put on a new avatar, I feel like I'm completely changing my embodiment.
Yeah.
Totally. And we're sitting here like thousands and thousands of kilometers away from each other, like physically. And yet I'm feeling I'm here with you energetically. I'm here. I can touch you and I can feel you through your voice and through your body language and through your avatar. Exactly. Yeah, like how do we express ourselves? So fun. Well, we're Hotties and VR now. So this stream is about everything to do with VR. We're going to be exploring some topics that we all like to talk about, which is AI companions. I'm really keen to share what I found the other week at another time around AI companion. It was so hilarious. I watched this video of this guy testing an AI and testing its morality. It's hilarious.
I want to hear. Let's talk about it. And we'll talk about all things
definitely
like
an AI topic.
Yeah. But we're definitely just here, so feel free to drop us your comments in the chat or message us. You can find us at Hotties and Symbol VR. Otherwise, I am Goddess Soleil on all of the platforms. Sorry, Goddess Soleil and VRC or Cyborg Dreams on social media.
Cool. And I'm Venus SX. And I just love being here at Hotties in VR. We're building something. So come and join us, subscribe to the channel, and we want you to talk to us. Talk in the chat. If you don't want to jump into VR and you just want to be on 2D, this is the opportunity to have a 2D experience with Hotties and VR. Oh, we're going to have to work on that.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I'm Serendipity Sky.
sharing today.
You're welcome. And please feel free, if anybody has any comments or wants to message me, I'm Serendipity Sky VR on Instagram. I apologize ahead of time if it takes me a long time to get back to you, but I promise I will read your messages if anybody has anything they want to say.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We're out of here.
We'll see you
thank
soon.
you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Producer. See you next week.